everyone, thanks for checking out this video. This is Joel from Life in Nica, and in this video I'm going to talk about how I ended up here in San Juan Del Sur. So it's a pretty common question considering I grew up on a farm in rural Alberta, Canada, thousands of kilometers away, and now I'm here. Been living in San Juan Del Sur on the beach for the better part of a decade. So this is my story about how I ended up here, and maybe it'll help you decide if this is the right place for you. So like I said, I grew up on a farm in Alberta. My parents are still actually out there farming today, so they're still out there, still got cattle, and where I live, it's extremely rural. Cows outnumber people about 20 to 1. And the big thing for me that I didn't like was it's cold, like super cold. And I really don't like the cold, probably more than most people I know. For us in the winter, temperatures can regularly get to, 40 below. And the year I moved down here, it was actually a little bit of a news story. There was one day where we were the coldest place on earth for a little while, for one afternoon. I was like, man, no, I can't handle that. It's no good. So luckily, as a family, when we were younger, we used to go on a trip like once a year. Now, usually that was within Canada, but a couple times we got outside to other places. We went to England once, and then a couple times we got to California, both times in the fall. And the one time we got to California in the fall, I remember us being on the beach and like swimming in the water and whatnot, and you look up and all the locals have like mitts on and jackets and long sleeves, and you could definitely tell we weren't locals. And so then from then on, I was like, wow, there's places where it never gets cold. So I was super stoked after that. So I still had to finish school, and then after high school, I actually took a year off and I went to Australia and New Zealand for 9 months. I was working, traveling. It was beautiful. I loved it. I was like, now I'm like fairly convinced that I want to live and invest and do that in a tropical country where it never gets so cold. So after that, I went to university, and I got a degree in international business. And I remember one of my employees, when I was running a little student summer painting company, he told me, he's like, yeah, I don't figure you in corporate. He's like, I figure you running a beach in like a tropical place. And I was like, that's pretty good. I'm like, I could see that. So, so then after university, basically like a week after my final exam, I was on a plane to Latin America. And actually my first stop was Managua. So I ended up here because a different friend had told me, he's like, hey, San Juan del Sur in Nicaragua was my favorite place in the world. He's like, I think you're gonna love it. He's like, you should go there first if you're looking for a place. I was like, cool, I'll do it. So flew down here with a different friend, landed in Managua, and San Juan was actually my first stop in Latin America. And I loved it immediately, right? It's a beautiful place. The beaches are fantastic. The people are friendly. And I could see a lot of potential for growth in the future, right? I could see all the things that I thought would bring people, and it was still up and coming. So I loved it from the first, for the first time I got here, but I was like, I still got to see a bunch more places, there's a whole bunch more world to see, and I wanted to scout and make sure I found my favorite spot. So after here, from Nicaragua, I went down to Panama, crossed over into Colombia, all overland, like the length of South America, all the way to the bottom, to like Argentina. And then I spent a few years, but I spent half the year in Canada, save up all my money, and then travel the other half, and I just kept doing it for a bit. So traveled to like all of northern, like Central America, Southeast Asia, 6 months in India, a little bit of Europe, a little bit of the Caribbean. And so then after all those trips, basically I was looking, combination of things, looking for my favorite place, and then also just wanted to travel, right? So I did that, and I narrowed it down. There's a bunch of places that I really liked. For example, I like Southeast Asia. I just never really considered investing there just because you need a local partner. So both for corporations and for landing, the local partner that's got a 51%. And as a foreigner, I just couldn't handle that. It's too much risk having somebody else with that much control over your business, right? So Southeast Asia was out. And in terms of price and what I could get for my money, really was looking at Latin America. So here in Latin America, I really liked Buenos Aires, Mexico City. Those are fantastic cities. And I like Medellin as well in Colombia. But I never really considered moving to those just because I like to visit cities. But in terms of living, I like small beach towns. Like it's just my jam. So like them, visit them again, but just not plan on living. So then in terms of places that I liked, that I thought about actually living and investing, there were only about 4 that I sort of seriously considered. Utila was my number 4. That's a little Caribbean island off the coast of Honduras. It's really pretty. The diving is spectacular. Beautiful place. But it's a super small, it's only a few thousand people in town, only got one street. And then with islands, a couple things, I'm always worried I'm gonna get island fever, like get bored, and it's hard to, get back to the mainland and do stuff. And with islands, I'm always a little worried, well, more in the Northern Caribbean, a little worried about hurricanes, right? Because they can come through and just swamp you. So that worried, that was sort of put Utila out. So I like it, but it was never on my top couple list. In South America, I really like the little town called Canoa in Ecuador. It's actually a lot like San Juan, a funky little beach town. A lot of fun, up and coming. The only thing was for Ecuador, it's farther, distances to get there, harder to get back and forth to Canada. And that town, the surf wasn't real consistent and it wasn't as great. And I was looking for, for example, here for the surfing, I wanted activity I could do my whole life and like healthy outdoor activity. So Canoa was close, but not quite. So my final two choices, I actually narrowed down to the Bocas del Toro archipelago off of the Caribbean coast of Panama and San Juan del Sur. And I actually went back and forth between the two. The year I moved here, traveled back and forth and made sure this was the one that I wanted. So Bocas was really close. It's just a couple reasons. In the intervening years since I'd traveled there first between all these countries, Bocas had like doubled in price for properties, and San Juan had gone up slightly, but not that much. So that was a big one for me. I'm like, man, they got pretty expensive. It got discovered, quote unquote. So that was one of the big ones for Bocas. Again, the island fever, right? Just being on an island, anytime you want to go do something on the mainland, you gotta get your vehicle and organize and get on a ferry, and it's you gotta plan it. It's just hard and it's a long way from other cities. Whereas here in San Juan, if we want to go to like the Costco subsidiary PriceSmart in Managua, or we want to go to like the movies in Managua, or go shopping or go do something, we just jump in the car and 2.5 hours we're there. We want to go to another beach, 10 minutes in other directions. Granada's an hour drive, so that's a big part on the islands. And then just prices, right? And not just like prices of property, but your cost of living expenses on an island are always higher, right? Everything's got to come in by boat. So San Juan, just for me and Nicaragua in general, had the best combination of prices, opportunity, growth, beautiful geography, surfing, that outdoor healthy activity that I wanted to do all the time. So I really narrowed it down and ended up here. Actually lived here for a little while before I invested. I was here for a few months and actually bought property. My first property I bought in Latin America was here. Turned out to be a super successful investment. One of many. I've bought and sold a bunch of properties here over the years. Then I ended up here. So I was like, okay, this is my spot. I've been here permanently for the better part of a decade now. And I've done a bunch of things. So, for example, when I first got here, like I said, I bought some property, but then I was involved in the hospitality industry. So we opened up one bar and restaurant here. We ended up opening another huge one in Costa Rica. Tangentially to that, we ran a boat tour. We ran a pub crawl there for a while. I started a motorcycle rental company with partners. We also we had a small store and a movie theater. So we had a whole bunch of different businesses in the hospitality space. And then a few years ago, I've been doing that for a couple years, and then I met my now wife, and she was studying to be a doctor up in Managua. So she was studying to be a doctor here in Nicaragua, and the hours were really hard, especially having, one partner in hospitality and then the other partner in medical school in another city, right? The hours are quite opposite, right? Hospitality is generally a nighttime thing, and the hospital was a day to, all day, every day, right? So we made the decision to divest from those hospitality assets, and we actually sold them all a few years ago, and just to free up my time and to be able to have like a more normal life, right? To be able to have, matching hours off with, who is now my lovely wife, Dr. Melly. So we sold those, and I switched over into real estate. A few reasons. Number one is while I've been doing all that hospitality stuff, I've been working with the guys at Century 21. I get a lot of clients down for with the hospitality business, and like, oh, I want to buy property. It's like, cool. Like, talk to my friends over at Century 21, so I sending them over. Also when I was back in Canada, one of those years, I sold my own house, the one that, we own with family there. So I'm like, I was actually pretty good at it, and I like it. So as soon as I sold those hospitality businesses, I switched over into real estate, and it's been fantastic. Luckily, which I, sort of tangentially to that. Having all that knowledge and all those contacts from the hospitality years meant that I knew everyone in town, which is big here in a place where there's no multiple listing service. So It's been fantastic. My wife and I get, more normal hours. And yeah, so we're here. So that's my story so far. My wife and I are about to open a clinic here for her sometime soon. And we'll continue living and investing here in San Juan. So that's my story. I hope that was helpful for you. Maybe that helps you decide if, this is the right place for you. I really like it here. This is still my favorite location in Latin America. I voted with my own choices. So that tells you something. It's not for everyone, right? If you like those big city lives, obviously this is a small town. If you want, all the things that come with a large city, that's more like it. If you want, a little more adventurous, you want more outdoor activities, you want a small town, really good expat community, San Juan might be a better fit for you. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I love to talk about it, obviously. and it's a great spot. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful in deciding if this is the right spot for you. So bye for now.